Some women don't chase. They don't beg, don't explain, don't unravel their souls to be understood. And yet, they linger in the minds of those who cannot let them go. She was such a woman, a quiet storm. Her presence a riddle that unraveled him without her uttering a word. In the shadowed corners of his psyche, she became more than a person. She became his obsession, a mirror to the parts of himself he refused to see. Why? Because she stopped explaining herself. And in her silence, she revealed the chaos of his own heart. In the beginning, he thought he knew her. She was the archetype of the muse, the feminine mystery that Carl Jung called the anima, the projection of his deepest desires, draped in the form of a woman who seemed to hold the universe in her gaze. She laughed easily, her words soft but deliberate, her movements a dance of self-possession. He saw her as a canvas for his longing, a vessel for his unhealed wounds. Jung would say he was projecting his shadow, the unacknowledged fragments of his ego, the insecurities and fears he buried beneath charm and control. She didn't ask for this role, yet she carried it, unaware of the weight his gaze placed upon her shoulders. But something shifted. She began to withdraw not out of cruelty, but from a quiet realization. The Stoics would call it amor fati, the love of one's fate. She stopped seeking his validation, stopped untangling her emotions to make them palatable. Her silence was not rejection, it was reclamation. She was no longer willing to be the mirror for his projections. In Jungian terms, she was stepping into individuation, the process of becoming whole, integrating her shadow, her light, her contradictions. She wasn't running from him. She was running toward herself. And this, he could not bear. His obsession grew in the absence of her explanations. He sent messages into the void, each one a plea for her to return to the role he'd cast her in. Why won't you talk? Why won't you tell me what I did? But she wasn't withholding to wound him. Trauma psychology tells us that those who have known pain learn to guard their energy, to protect the fragile sovereignty of their inner world. She had spent years explaining herself to others' lovers, friends, even strangers, until she realized that her worth didn't depend on their understanding. Her silence was her shield, her refusal to perform a sacred act of self-preservation. You, watching this, have you ever felt the pull to explain yourself? To lay your heart bare, hoping someone will see its worth? Pause for a moment. Feel the weight of that urge. Now imagine letting it go. Imagine choosing yourself, not out of spite, but out of reverence for the woman you're becoming. That's what she did. She stopped explaining, and in doing so, she became a mystery he couldn't solve. His ego, fragile and grasping, couldn't handle the loss of control. He wanted to possess her, not because of who she was, but because of what she reflected back to him, his unclaimed potential, his buried desires. The turning point came when she walked away. Not with a dramatic flourish, but with the quiet resolve of someone who knows their own value. She didn't need to scream her worth, she embodied it. In Jungian psychology, this is the moment of confronting the shadow, hers and his. She saw the parts of herself that once craved his approval, the wounded girl who thought love meant being understood. She held that girl, forgave her, and let her go. For him, her departure was a mirror to his own shadow, the need to control, to define, to possess. He couldn't look away, and so he chased the ghost of her, not realizing it was himself he was pursuing. Her detachment wasn't cold, it was liberation. Stoicism teaches us to release what we cannot control, to find peace in the acceptance of what is. She wasn't punishing him. She was freeing herself from the cycle of attachment and expectation. And yet, her absence became his crucible. He replayed their moments together, searching for the moment he lost her. Was it a word? A glance? A silence too long? But the truth was, he didn't lose her. She simply stopped belonging to anyone but herself. Her energy shifted, no longer tethered to his validation, and in that shift, she became untouchable. Now, You stand at the edge of your own story. What would happen if you stopped explaining yourself? If you let your silence speak, louder than your words? The world might call you distant, cold, unfeeling. But those who demand your explanations are often the ones who fear your power. When you stop performing for others, you begin to see yourself clearly. You step into the dance of individuation, where the feminine within you, your anima, your wild, untamed essence rises to meet the woman you were always meant to be. She became his obsession not because she tried to be, but because she refused to be anything less than whole. Her silence wasn't a weapon, it was a revelation. She didn't need to explain her worth, because she lived it. And in that living, she became a beacon for those who dare to see. The woman who walks away in silence isn't weak, she simply sees more.